dust off your shit kickers and let's head on down to Gilley's for a night of two-stepping, punching things, buckets of Lone Star beer, and mechanical bull riding.
And a little spousal abuse.
Oh, a lot of, we'll flavor it with a little bit of spousal abuse. But grab your best Western shirt, leave your bras at home. And let's talk about 1980s Urban Cowboy on this new episode of Film Seizure. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jeff Arbuckle. And with me, as always, you heard a little bit there from Jason Oliver. Jason?
Howdy.
Yeah, if I had a hat, I'd tip it right now.
You reckon?
I reckon. That's Chuck Moore. Chuck, how's it going? How's the action on the bowl tonight?
The action on the bull is good, but my nuts hurt.
What were you up to? Like a 12 or?
No, dude, I'm like 4.
4.
When I was a kid, maybe 11 or 12. Yeah.
But
before I broke my back, I do have a belt buckle. 5th place at the 1987 mechanical bull riding at Gilley.
Nice.
Nice. The Buffalo Fair or something?
Yes.
Were you able to hang on so well because you had thunder thighs?
Yes, I had thunder thighs. I was a running back in middle school and high school, so it made me strong like bull rider.
Strong like bull rider. Yes, it's Urban Cowboy. This is the John Travolta vehicle that was, I mean, a direct lineage from Saturday Night Fever, where you've got kind of a disaffected young guy who's very insecure, who kind of he finds fun in what most people would think is silly, but means a lot to him for some reason. But this is not like his earlier movies. This is not produced by the same people. This has one of your guys' favorites on there.
Well, it's one of my favorite Hollywood personalities, Robert Evans, as the producer. Yeah.
I have to wonder a little bit what he would have been like if he visited the set of this at Gilley's.
He probably slapped a few of the women around.
Yeah, sure.
Probably, yeah.
I don't really know that about Robert Evans, but I think he was like kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's try not to libel the man in his
right,
yeah. But no, this is not one of it is still Paramount, like Grease and Saturday Night Fever before it, but it is not Robert Stigwood, who gets a lot of credit for those early John Travolta movies, producing like the big hits that he had there. But yeah, so this is 1980. This is kind of it's kind of an interesting pop cultural type of movie in the sense that it is made sort of in tribute of a real place that was real popular for the size and everything that goes on in it. Go ahead, Chuck.
And I think, the Gilley dude knew 2 people that were like this that went to his bar.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. And
he did. And there was an article in the Atlantic written about it. And then
we got to make a movie. Yeah.
And they're not exactly like widely sketched characters. So there's probably like 100 people like that have gone to this bar. 1,000 maybe.
Well, no, there's specific people though. It's based on
Yeah, this is, and Gilley's is kind of it seems like a good time there. If it seems like people go there most of the time, they're having a good time, and they're probably, I would have to assume Gilley's probably had a little bit better control over the riffraff, because I can't imagine you go in there and on a nightly basis there's just people getting the shit kicked out of each other.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think these kind of southern bars were a little more like Roadhouse than we
Well,
we imagine.
I'm just saying, Sam Elliott and Patrick Swayze, is gonna find their way there at some
Probably,
point and
eventually.
clean the place up.
Eventually, and rip a man's throat out.
But it's
Or the Blues Brothers are going to play there behind barbed wire. You know.
Yep.
I don't know. Gilley seems a little classier than that.
Does it?
A little classier than that. I mean, nobody is throwing shit at Bonnie Raitt.
Yeah, I mean, who would do that though? It's Bonnie Raitt.
That's true. Yeah. Although it is funny that Bonnie Raitt essentially looked the exact same from about 1977 until about 2003.
She does. I agree. She looks exactly like she did in the '90s when I knew her best.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's like because without even hearing her, you look up at the T. It's like, oh, that's Bonnie Raitt. Like instantly,
That's Bonnie Raitt.
That's Bonnie Raitt. It's got to be. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but or it's kind of funny that like she's one of those people who just doesn't exactly age the same way as others.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, Gilley's is like this. I can't remember what Uncle Bud says it was, but it's like 3.5 acres or something of a bar. That's fucking huge.
Concrete something, he says. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like it's mostly a dance floor with a stage. And Gilley, the guy, the co-owner of the place was named after, was a musician, so he knew these guys to bring them in. So like it wasn't uncommon for Charlie Daniels to play there, on like a Saturday night or possibly even like a Tuesday night for all I know. But like he knew these people, and it was kind of a like it in a way kind of became a Houston destination type place, even though it's in Pasadena, Texas, which is just a little bit outside of Houston. But yeah,
A little bit more of a suburban cowboy than an urban cowboy.
Yeah.
suburban
There's
cowboy.
no city like I don't know. I have lots of questions.
Madeline
about
Smith
There's like
lives.
one scene where he meets the high class lady, where it's like in a maybe a high rise apartment, but that's about it.
But she even asked him, "Do you ever come to the city?" And he's like, "No."
Right. Right.
I have lots of questions about this movie,
Me
Jeff.
too, man. Lots.
We skipped over the usual like beginning part. Like I remember watching this when I was a kid, and I think I've mixed up some of this movie with the other, not Grease, the other John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John film, and maybe the Lily Tomlin one. Like those all kind of blend together for me.
Oh my God! If you're blending in, the Lily Tomlin one is like famously awful.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
It's bad.
moment by moment is that one. Yeah.
Ooh, I haven't seen that.
But this movie, like, I enjoyed as a kid. I will say that for sure. Yesterday, I was like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? And I don't want to dog shit on it because I know you love it, but I am curious, like, how have you maintained that love for this over the years? Like,
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that.
okay.
I'm honestly, like, from a person who likes likable characters in their movies,
Yeah.
I'm honestly shocked that you brought this movie to the table and that you like
It does seem like a weird Jeff movie. That's like
It
my
does.
biggest question.
Weird Jeff movie. I'd never seen this. I'd never seen this movie. First time watch, last time watch.
I mean, I could watch this movie for 2 scenes, but mostly because unfortunately they're funny, like, and they're not supposed to be.
That we get to that scene.
Funny.
Oh,
That's my
there's
favorite
one
scene in the movie, and it is not supposed to be as funny as I found it.
Yeah, I think I know what you guys are referring to. No, and it's like, here's the thing. It's like, so the most recent time before this that I watched it, was going to Flicks with the Flicks crew.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I think and here's the thing. I do find interesting things going on, particularly with the John Travolta and Deborah Winger characters. And there is something about what those characters are and the time frame that this movie happens in, and the kind of the social, like what they do with their time, that I do think is something probably more interesting, and maybe more interesting to me than what I think a lot of other people, maybe Jason included, would give it credit for.
Sure.
But we'll see. I mean, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Because there is, but I think that a lot of it is that there is a kind of, and I say this from time to time when we watch movies from the 70s, 80s, or 90s, and there is something about this type of melodrama that for some reason it's far more nostalgic for me in the late 70s, early 80s than any other time, that I do appreciate, because there is a certain, while this movie isn't perfect, there are things about it where it's like, this is just kind of interesting to watch.
I mean, there's definitely like fun scenes. And I think, I'm not a country music fan at all, but I think some of the songs in this movie do carry you through a part of the movie, right? Like whenever Charlie Daniels is on, I'm like, okay, I can listen to this, right?
Yeah.
And watch people dance and be like, how do people dance like that?
Right. Yeah, they're like the dance competition at times. I thought it's like, that's more dangerous than the fucking bull riding.
Probably.
Because people are like
looking,
spinning, they're not
around.
Yeah, it's like, that's crazy. But I'm not a big fan of country music, but I will say that this kind of, like, because one of the things that this movie is known for is kind of the urban cowboy country music style, the Kenny Rogers, the Dolly Parton, the Bonnie Raitt style of kind of softer country music. I find that far more tolerable than any other kind of country music.
You say softer. I think it's closer to rock and roll than it is than like a traditional country.
I think it's somewhere in between. I guess. I mean, it's more of a pop country, I guess.
Yeah.
See, I like the old outlaw country stuff. This I did not like. I didn't care for the music, other than the Charlie Daniels stuff, because Charlie Daniels is rad. Yeah, man, this is a tough one for me. I found very little that I could really grab onto in this. Although I will say it did feel a little bit like Robert Altman light at times.
I agree with that.
Well, John Glenn is in Nashville, so
it sort of felt a little bit like that at times, but just in like whiffs here and there. It wasn't anything substantial. I just didn't like anybody, man. It was hard. It was hard to get through this movie and just not understanding that the plot is very, very minimal. There's not really much happening. Like, there is way more plot in Roadhouse than there is in this.
There is, actually.
Well, nobody's getting a bear falling on them.
Yeah.
Did you know that speaking of Roadhouse, Patsy Swayze did the choreography for this movie? And that is Patrick Swayze's mom.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, because that was her profession. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where he learned to dance from his mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just found that like interesting, because I do see like a line from this to Roadhouse, not like a direct line, but there's definitely like it's there.
There's
right?
even kind of a line from Dirty Dancing in the way like soundtracks were built, right?
Yeah.
And how popular the soundtrack for that movie is and still is. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know. I'll pepper some things in here and there, but I don't have a whole lot keep drawing me to this thing. So, but I don't want to like totally dismiss your love for it. But yeah, it wasn't my thing.
Well, and I can kind of understand that too. it's kind of funny because like when I talked about like going to see this at Flicks, the other three people I was with were past guests on this show. We got Travis and Carolyn and Kelsey. Carolyn and I were.
How did they think of it?
Kelsey, I would
it.
imagine, would have killed you. For
Well, I don't
taking
know.
this.
I don't care because Carolyn and I were like locked in on it.
Right.
Now, Carolyn comes from a bluegrass family. So she already has a little bit of, there's a little bit of country interest in there, right?
Sure.
I don't think necessarily Travis and Kelsey didn't like it, but they didn't like it.
Well, I think the
like
content. I think the content would piss Kelsey off more than anything. Like
surely it did.
It is misogynistic all the way through.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe the movie is trying to make a comment on that, and that this is like this good old boys like MO, right? But that's even more problematic to me because it's not really trying to confront it.
I like movies like this, and I don't want to ruin the end, but I like movies like this when people get what they deserve.
Yeah.
And halfway through this movie, I was like, I don't think anyone's going to get what they deserve.
I was horrified.
Movie.
I was horrified to realize about. Yeah, I mean, I knew he was gonna be our hero, quote unquote. But it was like I don't care about John Travolta. Like he is like you said in our text, Chuck. He's trash. He's
trash human. He is.
He's no
trash
good.
human.
And yeah, we'll get to the end when we get to the end. But his growth is minimal at best.
Well, this is a movie about. I will say that while I do think you give this movie one or two more rewrites, and you can bring to the forefront that this movie is populated by people who would be considered trash. I mean, this is poor white trash.
Yeah, you want like
fantasy.
Leaving Las Vegas in the alcoholism, or like that kind of stuff. But it's so, I don't know. It's almost like a TV movie.
One scene, definitely.
The way it treats that stuff,
Sure, sure. And yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's
a good writer too. I was like, man, I love some of the things that what's his name, James Bridges has written. But
yeah. I mean,
for several more passes. Maybe cut out 20 of the 80 minutes of line dancing and develop your characters. Crazy
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, some of it could be, like again, it's an imitation of Saturday Night Fever, where Saturday Night Fever intertwined the dancing and the desire to have that escape with the problems that were going on with the characters. Whereas there is that kind of a barrier where it's like, no, these people just want to go and get shit-faced. They don't really love anything, but they kind of love getting shit-faced.
Yes.
It's like, and it's the
only way
there.
I relate to them. Anyone in this.
That and your championship mechanical bull riding.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that until you came back into my life and then reminded me of my bull riding days.
Have you actually ridden an electrical bull before?
Very, very, very close to. There used to be a bar downtown. What was the bar downtown that had the mechanical bull? You know which one I'm talking about?
Greenwood.
Well, this was downtown. This was downtown.
Was that the 8 Second Saloon? That would make sense.
Well, yeah, the 8 Second Saloon. Another past guest of ours, Blake and I considered very seriously one night if it was worth busting our balls to do it, and we were kind of like, yeah, but. Oh darn! I'm fresh out of money to pay for the board.
I don't think I
kind of one of those stepping away from it sort of
Am I
thing.
the only one of the three of us that has been on a mechanical?
I don't think I've ever had the opportunity, like in reality, to do it, or I probably would have. Right?
You would think that growing up in West Virginia, I would have done it at some point there, and I did in West Virginia eventually. But it was only like maybe 7, 8 years ago when I was visiting Rose and Tammy in Morgantown.
Oh, this is when you locked yourself out of your hotel room.
I did. Oh my God, I was so sloppy drunk. I left 2 credit cards at the bar. I had to like track down a manager to get them to open the place the next day to get my cards back. I locked myself out of my hotel room. It was bad.
How long did you last on the bowl?
Oh, like under 3 seconds.
I figured that was going to be your answer.
Under 3 seconds. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I remember it starting and then being on the mat.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny.
Well, you need an Uncle Bob to teach you what you got to be doing there.
Well, yeah. Uncle Bob he teaches you style. I need to actually stay on it first.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. He needs a Wes.
He didn't have any trouble staying on it. He just had no flair.
Chuck, before before lightning strikes your work and you explode, will you make sure that Steph knows that you have bequeathed me that belt buckle?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Arbuckle belt buckle.
Exactly. Anyway, so so I guess the movie kind of starts with Bud, who is John Travolta, moving from the sticks. I mean, he just lives on a farm in the middle of Texas. And he moves to the city, quote unquote, because his Uncle Bob, who works at an oil refinery, is going to get him a job. The first night he arrives, he and Bob go to Gilley's, and John Travolta's life is ruined instantly. Like he's like fucking Barney at Moe's. It's over. It's done. You guys, it's done. He's ruined for the rest of his life.
Pretty much. Like he falls hard into that life, whatever.
He falls hard into bed with Jerry Hall.
Yeah. So is this guy is the Cleveland Indians at the time manager? Is he?
Yeah.
Is he like a pimp? Is he like a
no? He just manages the bull.
But he works.
I don't know exactly what he does.
He works at the bar, but he's like, basically, like he's got some ladies that'll just go home with you if you ask him real nice.
Yeah, like, can you hook him up? It's his first night, and he's like, oh, you can have 2. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, because by the way, Jerry, it's Jerry and Cindy Hall, so they are sisters in real life.
Oh my gosh!
But they were, I think, waitresses. I think. And so he must. So yeah, I mean, enough of this old lady shit. Is just a fucking.
Well, Jerry Hall was long-term partner of Mick Jagger.
Oh yeah, she's in Batman.
With
you can't make an omelet. Yeah, you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
I thought that was her.
Yeah.
I thought that was her. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. She was Jack Palance's woman, and who reason why the Joker becomes the Joker in that movie.
Good to know.
Yeah. Every time I think of just anything that says a woman with a question mark at the end, I think of Jack Nicholson coming back as the Joker, saying this: "You betrayed me over a woman. A woman.
A woman."
Yeah. Anyway, he handles that situation well. Anyway, so and basically he gets plastered. Night 1, wakes up in bed with 2 women at his uncle and aunt's house because his mom calls and the aunt's like, "No, you can't come to the phone right now. He really can't come to the phone right now."
He's at church.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But anyway, he goes and applies for the job at the refinery, and he's kind of he doesn't know how to do an interview or anything. He's explaining to the guy why he goes by Bud instead of Buford or whatever, and it's because of his initials. And the guy's like, "Yeah, I know how to spell." It's like, but you idiot. But
Eunice, whatever his name is. Oh my god,
Union is his middle name.
Okay.
Anyway, which is funny to be in the South. And like,
Yeah.
his name might as well be Northern Aggression Davis. So he ends up getting the job, but then they said, we really need to sell tickets to this movie, so you better shave and buy yourself some decent cowboy clothes.
Right.
Because we need to take frames from you leaning against the bar at Gilley's the next night, clean shaven and perfectly put together, to sell 2 million tickets to 25-year-old women.
That does kind of feel like the grift of this movie for sure.
Well, I mean, but it is. I mean,
but then he's so unapologetically misogynistic. It's like,
I don't know how many women who were clamoring to see this movie 45 years ago cared about that.
yeah, well, it didn't date well.
But he's, it's like, so when he shows up the next night, everybody's like, wow, you shaved and all, because he had to shave to get the job or whatever. This is a New York Yankees scenario here.
Yes, I almost said that earlier.
Yes, indeed.
The real reason is because he has to wear masks and they have to fit to his face. So that makes sense, at least in the context of the film.
Although nowadays, people would complain about wearing those masks.
Yes, they would.
I'll breathe whatever toxics I want.
I'll huff that gasoline. So, I mean, but yeah, he this is the night he meets Sissy. Deborah Winger's hot. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to throw that out there.
She's a good-looking woman.
She's a good-looking woman, especially in this.
I don't know. She doesn't do anything for me either. Like Madeline Smith, way hotter. Way hotter.
Well, if you want a high-class woman to treat you like a boy toy,
I mean,
I'd rather have a woman who, really wants to ride that bull.
Madeline Smith looks like she could have slicked back her hair and been in a Robert Palmer video. Like that kind of woman in this movie. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's the only one who isn't going to get pushed around. Only woman, I should say.
Right.
Well, she can't. I mean, there is a power dynamic there that Travolta kind of, I mean, whether by intelligence of what script there is, either recognizes that he doesn't have, I mean, she's buying him nice shirts. It's like he
her
can't.
Daddy's in oil. He's probably his boss in some way,
or at least he could see her as a rung to climb up a ladder to that. Yeah.
Right.
What was she famous for, Deborah Winger, other than maybe this?
The Terms of Endearment.
Oh,
and Officer and a Gentleman. Right after this was Officer and a Gentleman.
Yeah. Which I've never seen Terms of Endearment.
Well, we'll get there later this year.
I don't remember. I know I've seen Officer and Gentleman, but I don't remember. I've probably seen it once. So yeah, Deborah Winger is just not someone who's in my brain.
Not in your vocabulary.
She's really not. Yeah, I know the name, but yeah, she's just not I wouldn't have recognized her. In fact, I didn't. I had to look her up to see if who the sissy character was. I was like, oh, that's Deborah Winger. I literally did that.
Well, about the time that you were probably also kind of getting your film education, she had retired from film, but it wasn't a very long retirement. And then when she came back, they weren't big things. But in the early 80s, she was in a lot of big things. Yeah.
I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, look at her credits there.
Yeah.
But, not movies that I saw growing up.
But yeah, I should also say it was about this point where I made the note that everybody's drinking Lone Star, and I bet Joe Bob Briggs loves this movie.
Probably.
I mean, they're wearing his outfit and they're drinking Lone Star all over the damn place.
I bet you he likes Roadhouse a lot more, though.
I mean, Roadhouse is a fucking masterpiece.
Well, yeah. I mean, Roadhouse is the exploitation version of an exploitation melodrama that is Urban Cowboy.
I was so confused, though. I was like, am I supposed to like this, ironically, right? or I didn't even know how to approach it because it was so out of the gate not what I was expecting. I was kind of like expecting this underdog story, which it really isn't. Then I was expecting, more of an exploitation, like Roadhouse type vibe, which it isn't. I was like, what is this? And then I was like, all right, is it an Altman movie? That's kind of where I was like clinging to it for a little bit. And then it just never really established itself as anything.
I mean, what's kind of funny is that, Chuck, you said you had confused this with Two of a Kind, which is the other Olivia Newton-John, which is not at all like this movie. That's a bad comedy.
Two of a Kind. Yeah, all right. That is bad.
Yeah, where the devil is going to wipe out humanity if they don't live, or
oh my God, yeah, I forgot that part of it.
The devil and God are going to fight over what should happen to humanity if these two don't get together or whatever. Yeah, it's fucking bad. But John Travolta kind of makes this movie again a few years later. Perfect. It's another article.
It's the Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes,
right?
Where aerobics become popular. There's a Rolling Stone article written about it, and that turns into a movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird. It's like, well, I guess we get the guy from Urban Cowboy to do it. I would have even I would have even allowed confusing this with Rhinestone.
It's that was another one I was thinking about was Rhinestone. So. Yeah, he really tried to like kill his career right out of the gate, didn't he? Because after this and Blowout, he made Staying Alive, Two of a Kind, and Perfect.
But here's the thing about Staying Alive: as bad as the reviews were, it made a massive amount of money at the box office at that time.
You're right, it did. It made a lot. So
it was a hit, but the critics had turned on him basically. But
I've never seen that either.
It's directed by Stallone.
I know it is. I know. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm fully aware. I know of all the stories behind the scenes when he was trying to get Travolta like all like jacked for it and everything. He was on a really crazy diet and exercise regime.
Could you imagine being in a room when those two were talking to each other? You wouldn't know what the fuck was going.
What the fuck was saying? It would have been basically a real life version of John Travolta's marble joke from Urban Cowboy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We'll get to the. Yeah, we'll get there. So basically, Sissy is established as being somebody who is a little bit of her own, like she's very independent in the sense that she's going to ask him to dance. She's, later she wants to ride the bull. She wants to basically do what she wants to do, but is stonewalled by pretty much all these macho jackasses around her.
But she recognizes him as inauthentic as he looks, as an authentic cowboy, right? She like picks him out of everyone else and is like, "You're a cowboy, aren't you?" Yeah.
Yeah, and he never answers yes.
No, he so doesn't give a shit.
No,
he's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, sure.
But like she is specifically looking for the rugged looking cowboy guy.
Right. And she says you shouldn't have shaved your beard. You look good on you. Yeah.
But so they start dating pretty much right away. And it's the first thing that comes into Gilley's is a punching machine. And everybody wants to line up and punch something, including. Are they already married at this point?
Aren't they? Or maybe that's that first night, because they go from like meeting in the bar to
it is. She punches
stuff. Yeah, him fixing
because he's fixing her hand
at the pancake house or whatever the hell they go.
And then the two girls walk by,
and then he slaps her. And then she runs off, and then he tracks her back down, talks her back into the truck, and then they wrestle on the ground, and then get married.
Then they get married. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that is the first. Yeah, they are not. Yeah,
Totally relatable and great character development.
It was like the first 6 years of a marriage in like 4 seconds.
right. Which, I mean, I think there is something that can be said about that in like certain areas of the country or in certain eras where people who, what often happens when people don't go to college or they stay in small towns, they do these types of things quick and early. And
I mean, if he had knocked her up, I would have bought it.
Sure.
Right.
Well, instead, she knocked that punching bag thing in the first ever hold my beer moment in cinema history.
Yeah, that was funny. She's like, hold my beer.
Yeah,
It
she
didn't
did.
go so great for her, but yeah.
No, but I mean, it wouldn't go so great for any of us either, I don't think.
I don't know. I punched one of
I
those
don't think I
things.
would have busted like all my knuckles though. That was weird.
If you scrape it as opposed to,
If you had
Yeah.
scraped down on it,
Yeah.
it's the threads.
but yeah, so they, one of my notes was that Bud and Sissy might look good together, but they are not good for each other. This is typical young, stupid relationship that is ultimately toxic.
It's a dumb setup for what is to come, right? Like,
Yeah, it's kind of my problem with it, right? Is I'm not rooting for them. I feel like the movie wants me to root for them, and I'm just not. She goes into a worse situation, and Travolta goes into a situation that is like this ideal, woman who is going to worship the ground he walks on, but doesn't really love him, right? And you're not really rooting for them to get back together. I'm not. Are you?
I mean,
have they broke up already? You're so far ahead of me.
yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, no, I don't really root for them because I'm not entirely sure. Again, clean this up a little bit, and this would be a character study of people who live in a certain, or who are in a certain situation, maybe not necessarily that they live in a certain situation or they're of some sort of standing or not standing or whatever. But I do view this more as a character study of people who are just, they're rudderless.
It's very generous to say it's a study of anything. Honestly.
Well, but that's how I watch it. Like, it's like these people don't have anything but Gilleys, and maybe in a way you could almost, like, I'm sure Gilley's had something to do with this production, allowing it to be there. But you could almost say places like that are bad. I mean, they're just bad for a certain group of people or a certain town or a certain section of the population. Everybody who goes there have nothing going for it. It's important later, in my opinion, that Bob says at the end, towards the end of the movie, into the third act of the movie, he says, I haven't been there since the night I took you, because he has other things to do. He has other things to live for.
Right.
So it's like,
it's just weird that it takes place in a suburb or outside of a city, right? Because there are so many things to do. You're in a city. It makes more sense if it's in a small town. It's like this movie wants to have the soul of like Last Picture Show or even Five Easy Pieces, right? Like those movies can kind of get into the heart of your disaffected youth. This movie just makes you assume it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Although I will say, Pasadena is not exactly outside of Houston. It's in the middle of Houston. It's a city that's surrounded by Houston. So they are
Texas is weird, man.
Well, I mean, I live in a city or in a town that's surrounded by a city too. So it's like, I mean, it's kind of like it's like it was consumed by Houston, essentially. So, I mean, it's a suburb, but it's also part of Houston. It's certainly connected to Houston. So
see, that stuff's kind of interesting and would have added something to what's going on here if we knew that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it doesn't give like the urban aspect of the title a personality or a character. It's represented in Gilley's, which could be in any place other than the sheer size of it.
That could have been on Route 66, right? Like in the middle of fucking nowhere or something.
Totally.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would say that the term that the title takes itself from is sort of a description that John Travolta isn't really what he thinks he is.
That's fair. He's a fake cowboy, right?
He is, yeah, because
urban cowboys are all fake cowboys,
right?
They all think that they're tough country boys who actually rustle cattle, but they've never done that shit in their life.
But isn't that what he actually did? I guess we don't know. We don't know.
Well, he was just a farm boy. He worked at he worked on an oil field or an oil pipeline down there. Yeah, I mean, and then I'm assuming he did some farm work. He lived on a farm.
But then Chuck brought this up yesterday when we were chatting. It's like it feels like it should be a fish out of water story, right? But it's not, because he actually is from a small town, so his cowboy roots aren't a huge leap to this, right?
But the thing that I think is the most,
if you translated it from being a Gilley's guy to a true cattle town, that would be a better story.
Right, real cowboys around him.
Yeah, right. And him having to like prove his worth in that environment seems way more compelling to me.
well, I mean, I see what you're saying. I think, one of the things that I'm most interested in with this character is that how deeply insecure he is. And so
They don't ever get to the root of that, though.
No, not.
There's no examination of his character around.
That's why I'm saying, and I know we're kind of dissecting this really far, but like I think of like a Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like how you get to the root of what is actually destroying this person. It's not just the alcoholism. There's other parts of him that are
sure. Right.
In this, you just see John Travolta drinking, smacking his wife, and saying, "Get me a beer." What I want to know, what's really like impacting, what is making him act this way?
What's his relationship with his family like? What was his father's dynamic with his father like? Yeah, what is the at the root of this? Is it cowboy? Just that southern white cowboy culture. Or what is it? Yeah,
because then we can feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Right? Even if we don't root for him, we could feel bad. I don't even feel bad for him.
Understand him, right? Yeah.
Well, no, and maybe there is something on the cutting room floor of, the reason why he was leaving in such a hurry is because he felt smothered there or something like that.
Yeah.
Even if he had just like one honest conversation with either
anyone.
With anyone about it. Yeah, it could have been with his uncle. I mean, any meaningful conversation that allows him to process something would have been welcome.
Yeah, and, but I mean, like, I do see, again, I don't necessarily feel sorry for him. I'm not necessarily rooting for him. But what I'm seeing is I'm looking at it from a cultural standpoint where maybe I won't always, like, I do this a lot in general. Oh God, I do it a lot right now in life, but I do, like, I don't have all of we're not afforded, the three of us all know somebody in our lives that we know what led to that person's insecurity and some of the things that became of that person.
Okay.
We were friends with that. That's the only person in my life where I know the full, like I have not a full story, but I have a really good idea of what the full story was in that person's life. On the other hand, most other people, we have to kind of take that inference and try to understand what's the culture around them that's leading to that. And that's the way I kind of look at this movie is he's so desperate to fit in with this crowd because it's something that he takes an interest in, that he becomes all the worst things of that crowd, if that makes sense. He's constantly drunk.
Yeah, but was he that bad to begin with? We don't even know that. We don't even know if being in Gilley's like made him that way.
I mean,
I'm with you. I understand your perspective and like taking that outside view and trying to piece it together, but you need more information. You really need more information to understand it. And I'm not like, I watch shitty movies all the time where I'm just like, I sit back and like just enjoy the show. That's fine. I'm cool with that. But I think this movie was trying to say something about these people, this place and time, and Gilley's and the culture. And I don't know if you had to be an Urban Cowboy to understand it. Maybe you did. Maybe like I'm not even the audience. So who gives a right? Like I'm not making this for the schmuck that lived in the Northeast for most of his life. But yeah.
Well, and and again, maybe that's again, I'm not going to say that this movie's anywhere near the level of Saturday Night Fever, because that's a wholly different, that's a wholly different thing. That is well plotted and well crafted and all,
but that's a good movie. For sure.
But it is trying to, what you're trying to say, maybe, is that it's trying to represent a time and a place, a culture, right? I mean, Saturday Night Live Fever does that very well, but while also having a complex main
individual, a complex individual who is not very good, but actually you kind of feel sorry for him. He's trying,
Right, they give you a reason to feel sorry for him.
To the bottom of his
Sure.
You see it, you feel it. You're like, how would I be in that environment? Yeah.
Right. In this movie, you're right. It either forces you into a box where it's like, I don't really understand anything that's going on. This isn't for me and I don't like it. Or you have to read into things, or you have to be kind of generous to it. But like when I look at it from the outside looking in, I see a place that might have been fun. Gilley's, right? The idea of a place where if you want to go and show off your machismo and punch things or ride the bull, great. If you would rather go there on a date night and dance with your wife or girlfriend, great. You can do either of these things, or you can do all of the things. And you can buy yourself a shit ton of Lone Stars while you're at it. You can spend all of your paycheck on Lone Stars.
Yeah, you can.
In theory, like everything is going well, minus the relationship being ugly, right?
Sure.
Like him at least being abusive and an alcoholic or whatever. Everything's going well. What really changes this thing is when the double dragon machine, the mechanical bull shows up. Because it did kind of feel like when we all saw Double Dragon in the arcade for the first time, we're like, oh, fuck. What is this? It costs $2? Oh, my God, I'm getting on. Or Dragon's Quest, right? Like, it's one of those, or Dragon's Lair. Is it Dragon's Lair?
Dragon's Lair. Lair.
Yeah. Like, that moment is kind of fun. Like, I identify with that. Like, I remember walking in and seeing the thing and being like, oh, my God. But that's what really kind of changes everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And I do think also it's like there are things that you do get some clue that it's possible that Bud was just a bad apple to begin with. He is a braggart. It's like he constantly wants to be the center of attention. He won't let Sissy ride the bull either.
He's a dick.
He needs to be the best at that. He needs to be that guy.
Yeah.
It can't be her. He has no good reason to not let her do that except for because there is that one scene also where the one guy is kind of like they're dancing later. He and Sissy are dancing, and the one guy starts getting the attention and he's dancing on his own, and he has to go over and do it too. And he's John Travolta. He can dance, right. It's like, and you do get those clues that he is not just insecure, but he deeply needs to be that center of everything.
I mean that's fair.
And
Especially with that dance scene where you're like, okay, he has to do it too and show that he's better at it.
Yeah, and he consistently gets on the bull. He rides, he finishes it. He immediately goes on it again, not letting anybody else have their chance. When really the confrontation comes is when a real cowboy shows up in Wes. And I mean, he saw Scott Glenn as Wes Hightower. Yeah. They see him at the all convict rodeo, which that's Texas, man. That's got
it's like the longest yard or something.
Yeah, it's like, well, if they kill themselves, at least the taxpayers don't have to pay for them anymore, I guess. Right.
But he does not recognize him, right? He recognizes him, but he doesn't know who he is.
Right. Because at that point,
it looks like he just came from the manhole down the street.
Oh man! And so
talk about an urban cowboy.
Talk about a butthole cowboy.
That black mesh shirt. That is something else.
Yeah, he comes walking into Gilley's wearing this black mesh, which
he does take shit for, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, he does. But he also is that skinny guy ripped. Like his fucking arms are veiny and ripped and shit. Yeah. I'm not fucking making fun of this guy. No way.
Well, there's 30 of them and one of him. Like he's an outsider too.
True.
Well, somebody said it looks like he's wearing his mama's hairnet or something like that. Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Which he does stand out in the crowd, but there is one thing that he is that none of these guys are. He's a bull rider.
Yeah. An actual
bull riding practical cowboy. And for all we know, he's like fucking Jesse James. He goes out and knocks over banks and shit.
Which it turns out that's what he does.
Yes. So, he is the real deal that all these other guys are desperate to be, but will never be. Even if they don't want to be convicts, he is the real deal.
Sure.
And I mean, it doesn't help that he is instantaneously looking and tipping his cap later at Sissy, which it's almost as if this guy even knows that he needs to fuck with John Travolta, regardless if the script tells him to or not.
But yeah, what happens there when he goes in? Like Travolta's riding the bull, and I don't even know. I can't even remember. There's so many like vignettes of bull riding in this.
Right. Well, what happens is that he goes to ride John Travolta rides the bull. Wes comes in and says he knows the manager of the Indians. Steve Strange. Yes. He knows Steve Strange. They've known each other for years. My guess is they've served time together because obviously you're right. Steve is probably a pimp, but he's served time for selling Strange. Steve Strange. Yeah. Holy shit.
You've cracked the code.
I cracked the code. Anyway, he says he knows this guy, and he's Wes turns up the power on the bull.
Yes.
And that is the first thing he does, and he rides a much looser, much more wild bucking mechanical bull, to which that gets Bud that tickles the parts of his brain that says, well, I can't have this.
Yeah, I got to be the best.
I've got to be the best. So and like all the while he's telling Sissy she can't ride it. He's got to ride it. He wants to go on the higher speed and all of that. And so that's basically, I mean, therein lies that is the beginning of their war, essentially.
Yep. And this is when I kind of expect kind of like an over the top kind of movie, right? Where
he's going to turn his cowboy hat backwards.
And yeah.
And they're gonna ride it together while they're trying to arm wrestle.
Yes. Oh, my God, that'd be hilarious. That's a much better movie you just came up with. Mechanical bull riding arm wrestling with West Hightower.
It's a double-sided bull. They're just riding.
It's like a seesaw bull.
You missed out on the best movie we could ever have come up with.
Arm wrestling on top of the bull.
Yeah, they all have to ride it together and arm wrestle at the same time while it's bucking around. That's because Chuck thought we were about to get into like over the top world with the two guys now,
Yep.
and the prize is not a truck, it's Sissy.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. That's not what we get.
I mean, we
Not
could
really.
make this into a video game and put her like in a cage, like in like Double Dragon. You know,
Yeah.
have like one of Wes's goons like steal
Double
off
riders.
her. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, and this is when they go. You know, after they're all shit faced, they go to the diner again. This is when he tells his ask me how to become a bull rider.
Oh my God, the marble joke.
He put all the marbles in his mouth, and every second you spit one out, and you keep going until you've lost all your marbles. And it's like I laughed so hard at that, not because the joke is trash, but John Travolta, drunk or high John Travolta is the best John Travolta in any movie ever. I mean, we've seen him in Pulp Fiction when he's looking for the voice that became a meme. This could become a meme too.
Like bad. But he's also pissed off at the kitchen because he wants a real cowboy would really want his burger well done.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But he throws his burger. So Wes had come in and tipped his hat and all that garbage. And Travolta throws his burger at the waitress because it's still mooing on the plate or whatever, right? She's like, I don't know what to do about that. He's like, well, send it fucking back. And he hits Wes, and Wes is like, let's fucking take this shit outside.
And he beats the shit out of him.
He beats the fucking shit out of him. Deservedly
Because again,
so.
deservedly so. I will agree with that because, first of all, it's not like Wes is a decent guy. He's not. You know, he's a shitbag.
We'll talk about that later.
But he is the real deal. He is the one thing you don't butt up against if you really want to, you know, if you don't want to be embarrassed ultimately.
Right.
And he is. I mean, he gets the shit kicked out of him to the point where he doesn't want his morning coffee the next morning. He wants a fucking beer, and he's going to take it with him to work.
Oh my God.
Again, Texas, that fucking just drinking on the way to fucking
And
work.
then the most weirdly funny.
Yes,
Obnoxious.
the TV movie of the week score that plays over this moment is insane.
Yes.
Like the whole thing just turned into like, oh my God, this is we went from watching Urban Cowboy to watching an episode of McCloud.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like
It's so bad.
So he goes to work drunk, and his uncle Bob knows it, and he's like, "You should eat something, or you're gonna get sick." He's like, I'm fucking cool, man." But at the same time, Sissy is like, "I'm gonna go ride the bull because Bud won't let me."
Yeah, because her friend, like during the afternoons, all the girls go and ride the bull.
Yes, and we get like I don't know if this was suspenseful in 1980. I kind of highly doubt it because it is so hilarious. Like I was laughing out loud. John Travolta gets his he's trying to catch a bucket and he can't catch the bucket because he's apparently drunk off of one beer the next day in the afternoon. What a fucking cowboy he is.
Beer.
And he falls and gets his leg pinched. And there's like, even the way like, God, I almost changed my profile picture to Bud's face because he looks like he's like the coal miner in a comedy, like not Bud, his uncle Bob.
Yeah.
Bob's face in the scene, like the way he's looking up. I'm like, this has to be a comedy. This has to be played for laughs. So he's trapped, pinned with his leg between two bars.
It's intercutting back to the bar where frickin'
Sissy.
Sissy is getting a couple lessons from
Wes.
from Wes. Yeah, and it's
It's just. It's too.
His whole world is
whole world is coming collapsing. It's unraveling in this one moment in time. This is the moment. This is the moment that broke me, Jeff. This is when I broke my silence and I texted Chuck because I legitimately didn't know if I was supposed to like this movie, ironically or not.
Oh my god. Yeah, and then we laughed together over this scene. But I don't know, man. It's like if it had built any kind of reputation at this point, I would have been like, okay, well, it kind of lost me at this moment. It was around then, Jeff, that I texted you because I didn't know yet. I hadn't watched the whole movie. And I was like, when was the last time you saw this?
Yeah, I saw where this was headed.
I didn't hate it. I even told Jason I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I can't. Hate is a strong word. Yeah.
No, but like, I understand I understand the issues with what both of you have said about whatever issues you have. And Chuck, I agree with you. I don't like these characters either. And Jason, I agree with you. I don't necessarily root for them. Mm-hmm. I look at it from like that 30,000 foot view of this is a culture that creates these people.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
You know, and that
You're doing a lot of work, though. You're doing a lot of work, which I wish you didn't have to do.
No, I don't. I mean, I didn't. I don't think it was all that much work. It's like, obviously, I mean, like, I can infer that rather easily from somebody who is like Bud in the sense that he is who he is. I mean, the little hints that we get from the dancing, from how much he's obsessed with the bull riding and how much he, you know, it's like I can infer that pretty quickly to the point where I can say, you know, this is an insecure person who is in a scenario, in a culture, in a place that is going to feed the worst parts of that if he's that type of person.
So I'm with you. He hurts his leg and he hurts his back. And he gets codeine and he goes home and drinks Jack Daniels and eats codeine.
Yes.
And he cries in the shower.
Eats codeine. Yes.
And his aunt comes over. Is like, you live like animals.
You live like a pig.
We live like pigs. And then she makes some onion tuna casserole. She didn't clean up the place. She's just like, I'll make you food.
Well, she did try to clean up the place before Sissy got home, but she couldn't get to all of it because it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And Sissy doesn't like the onion. She wants it with walnuts. No.
I like my tuna with grapes and nuts or something. Yeah,
grapes and almonds. And he shits himself over that and brings up the fact that she says that, you know, they live like pigs and, you know, this is terrible. You know, it's like, you know, you don't give me the good sex enough. To which he immediately is like, yeah, you know, what you do is good, but I want more. Is basically what he says. At least he acknowledges what he gets is good. Because, well, I mean, I can infer a few things from when she's riding the bull later.
He's not going to be getting it anymore after they go to Gilley's tonight.
No, because yes, he decides she doesn't really want to go to Gilley's because she knows. I think she initially says she doesn't want to go to Gilley's because she knows it's going to be found out that she was there earlier.
Yeah, totally. But she kind of gives it away on her own when she rides the bull.
Yeah, but she's not. I would say that she has ideas that are in the right place, but she's too stupid to make it work because her whole thing earlier was, I want to surprise him by showing I can ride the bull. And it's like, with as adamant as he is about her not riding, this is not going to go the way she thinks.
The person who teaching you, who's been tipping his hat at you,
and who beat his ass to the point where
who's already
he killed him.
The shit out of him. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Almost to the point that he died from it.
So, yeah, she's not too bright.
No, she isn't. But like I said, I do think that she has certain concepts that are in the right place. She is headstrong about wanting to show that she is not just some shrinking violet, or whatever. But yeah, no, she's not smart enough to understand this. Like, you're not going to surprise him in good ways that you can ride the bull. And sure enough, he sees her riding the bull. He gets pissed. He wants to go and ride the bull. His back is fucked. She doesn't want him to ride the bull. Wes is like, oh, I'm going to finally put this guy in the fucking ground if I have to. And eventually gets him thrown off the bull with his hand stuck to where it breaks his arm. And who does he blame? He blames Wes, not himself. So again, I'm inferring pretty easily that this guy is all the things I say he is, because he can't
Wes
take
did break his arm on purpose.
Well, he did, but at the same time, I mean, there was an easy way not to get your arm broken. Don't ride the thing when you have a bad back.
Well, he's on codeine and Jack Daniels, so yeah. I mean,
well, he's also.
I'd probably ride the bull too. But I'm being silly.
I know, but like point. he's yeah. I mean, it's his fault. I mean, while Wes was trying to embarrass him again, it is his fault that he actually ends up with a broken arm,
which in turn gets him not fired, but kind of laid off, placed on leave. Yeah. So he doesn't have a job.
But he's got severance, and guess what that severance is going to do? Help pay for more Gilley's kids to go to college.
Yes, more Gilley's kids go to college, but he also has another altercation with Sissy. He slaps her again when she tries to console him after his arm is broken, and she leaves. And this is the beginning of their kind of like separation. Not kind of like, it is a separation. He takes the sissy plate out of the back of the truck. Texas sissy plate is gone.
That is a Texas divorce, by the way.
It is. He took her, yeah. Like, so he goes, where does he meet the city girl? At the bar.
Gilley's.
Right? He goes back to Gilley's because he realizes that Wes, he's like kind of sad, and he's looking through his photographs, all sad, sacky, and then he finds the program from the prison rodeo they went.
By the way, we didn't even talk about the fact that Sissy and Bud got married at Gilley's.
Oh yeah,
I forgot they got married at Gilley's.
So that's again how fucking little they have in life.
They should have called this movie Gilley's Cowboy. But yes, they do get married at Gilley's way too fast. It's like it's a shotgun wedding without the shotgun part of it.
I like how many times Sissy does complain when they're taking the pic, because he's like, take your garter. It's like, I ain't wearing stockings. And then like later it's like, like I think her mom tells her to smile or something. It's like, I'm tired. It's like, she's just over it already.
She is over it. But yeah, Bud realizes that Wes is a convict, and he goes back to Gilley's and he's like, he's an escaped convict. And she's like, he got let off last week. He's like, you know this? Or whatever. But then he's like, picks the first girl. He gets mad and he picks and she's like, I'm not talking to you. So he gets mad and he picks the first girl he sees and he's like, do you want to dance? And she's like, yeah. And it turns out she's another sissy because she wants to find a real cowboy.
But unlike Sissy, she is cultured.
She's affluent. Yeah.
She's affluent, which kind of puts him in his place, because he doesn't treat her like Sissy at all. He can't dominate her. No,
he doesn't see himself as superior to her, but he is kind of dismissive of her. Not aggressive. Not aggressive.
I mean, it's very likely that he understands what she wants him around for, which is just he looks good and he wears a cowboy hat and he probably fucks good.
Which is okay with him because he admits to her, like, I am trying to.
Yes, instantly.
I am trying to make my wife jealous.
Yeah, it's like, you're not just trying to make your wife jealous. Like, yeah. It's like, okay, let's go.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. Let's do it. Yeah, because like even later, this is another note that I have because it fucking cracks me up because it's so very John Travolta. At the very, very end, when she basically is like, you got to go back to your wife, and she's like,
I gotta go.
If you ever want to make her jealous, you know where I am. I gotta go.
Yep.
It's just like that fucking serious John Travolta face.
But it's one of those moments. It's one of those moments too where he totally loses any semblance of him trying to do an accent for this movie.
Right. Yeah.
Which happens a few times, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's like whenever he gets animated, like accents go on. John's not a very great actor. Fine though, it's fine. But I have to briefly talk about this. So Boss Skaggs, I don't know why Boss Skaggs is doing a song in this movie, but he does the song.
I know. I picked up on why this song is the way it is in this movie.
Well, tell me.
It's her world. It's not his. His world is full.
That's what
Which is what Jason said. I said it makes sense if she's the main character.
But he is transitioned into a world he doesn't belong
so
in.
that's smart then. I still think like
because it's playing in her apartment.
Yeah,
and it plays when they dance together later too. Yeah.
Yeah, and earlier in the movie it does play an acoustic version of the song.
Yes.
Too. But it's kind of the central theme of the movie in a way, which doesn't make sense because she's not the main character, but whatever. I get that it is representing that part of her world. That makes sense to me. But man,
weirdly though, she's like the most fleshed out character in a lot of ways.
Well, she has some compassion.
Give us her background and what she likes and dislikes and
who her dad is.
Yep.
Like, we don't know who anyone else's dad is.
I just realized I have this Boss Skaggs album. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Well, what's funny about it too is with the Yacht Rock doc this year, I've jumped way into the Toto guys that were session musicians, and they play on this song, like Steve Porcaro and all those dudes.
Fucking Henley and Fry are on that song too.
Yeah,
crazy, right? Back
which Lion Eyes is in this movie too. Which is that's kind of like that's always the first song I think of from the Eagles when I think of their early country days, is Lion Eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny because, like, I was sitting there thinking, it's like, okay, Boz Skaggs is closely tied to Yacht Rock
because of the Toto guys, yeah,
right. But like, you know, it's like, and he often shows up in people's mixes too, But
no, I mean they were on his albums, and they brought that influence to him,
right? Yeah, and then like the Urban Cowboy sound is, I look at it as the Yacht Rock of country. Because it's kind of that more adult contemporary style, as opposed to like the picking and the, you know, the picking and the fiddling,
the picking and the singing.
Yeah, and you know, like the earlier, like it ain't Conway Twitty, you know. But anyway,
right.
Although I will say though, it's like when you get like Charlie Daniels up on stage, he's a picking and a fiddling.
Hell yeah.
I mean, he is going to fucking town.
That was my favorite part of the movie. I was like, yeah.
Charlie Daniels,
Georgia, you know it.
I mean, Charlie Daniels had some good shit, man.
Yeah.
Back then. Yeah.
It's weird seeing him that young too.
I know. Yeah, most of the time you think of him as the guy who's gonna come out onto his broken down porch with a shotgun telling you to go on, get.
White beard and
yeah.
Go on, get. But yes, I thought that too. I'm like, that's what Charlie Daniels looks like when he's not old. Anyway, so he has this tryst, but this tryst because Sissy had been like, I can't do this to Bud. And she goes back home when she was about to have sex with Wes, which is actually, that's a really good scene. He's like, come over here, and she goes and puts her head on the cabinet. I'm like, okay, this is like the most believable scene in this entire movie, honestly. Like,
and what's funny is at that point you almost see a decent human in Wes, although that's going to fade by the end of the movie
very quickly. He's laying a trap.
He's laying a trap. Yep.
Yes.
He's put the lure out there, and he's just waiting to reel her in.
And I mean, maybe smart writing because he could be the worm at the bottom of the bottle, right? Like
that too. Yeah. Yeah. They had a glass of Paul Mescal.
Yeah, Paul Mescal. And then they
thought of that when I was watching.
That's
They
the
were so
vision all
drunk they were
saw.
fighting sharks in the Coliseum.
I'm glad I knew who Paul Mescal was for the moment there. I don't normally make those good connections.
That movie needed more sharks.
Yeah, more sharks.
All the sharks.
Okay, Kermie.
Moving right along.
Took it to him.
Thank you. Surprised Jason didn't jump on it.
I know. I had to guess fill in the blanks there.
But Sissy had felt bad about maybe being an infidel, and she goes home. But when Bud shows up in the morning, she's like, "Oh, yeah, you definitely banged that chick." So she leaves, and now they're going to get a divorce, right? Because I don't know what happens. Like, he's wearing a cast on his arm. He's still not working. He's at home, and then the girl shows up. I can't remember. What is her actual name? Pam shows up, and Pam's like, I found out from one of the girls at Gilley's where you lived, and I thought I'd come over here and make your wife jealous again. He's like, we're getting divorced. She's living with some asshole behind Gilley's in a trailer.
Yeah, the inference there on who she found out where he lives, I think came from one of the waitresses he banged earlier at his uncle's place.
Oh, could totally have been one of those girls.
But yeah, and can we talk real quick about Uncle Bob's beautiful lawn in his backyard, which is just dirt.
It's just dirt.
It's like a dirt. It's just desert. It's just
Yeah. That's why I thought it was outside the city, not in the middle of the city. But yeah.
Yeah, it was a developing part of Pasadena. Well, he may have lived outside the city. I can't imagine that refinery's in a city.
Yeah, we have no idea.
He just lives next to the refinery, which I'm sure is going to do those kids a whole lot of good when they're growing up and trying to be intelligent and shit. Yeah, but anyway, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, please.
So basically, yeah, I mean, like at this point in time, it's just a bunch of peacocking, right? They always go back to Gilley's. They're always there together. Eventually, in my favorite scene, Sissy gets up on the bull, rides it nice and slow, to just basically say to Bud that she's had enough of him, and
pretend this bull is Wes, is what she's saying.
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty much. And that was also the same night that they had the Dolly Parton lookalike contest. Now, see, that shit is fun, man. That I would go see the Dolly Parton lookalike contest.
That's the kind of stuff that kept me semi-engaged in what was going on.
I mean, in a weird sort of way, I do sometimes look at some of the stuff like that, or some of the performances, particularly like the Charlie Daniels part, because the camera is on him in that part, where it's like, this almost feels like a documentary. And, and at times we go away and we follow a character from the bar, or whatever, and see his life fall apart. But there's a lot of stuff that happens in the bar. The reason why I say sometimes it looks like it's a fun time there is because there is a look of it that almost comes across like a documentary, or a feel, I should say, where it's like, this is what people did down there when you don't have cable TV or something. I don't know.
Yeah. But then Uncle Bob is teaching him how to ride a bull fancy like.
Because there's going to be a big contest. There's going to be a dance contest, a punching contest. What is that fucking machine called?
Punching bag.
Okay, whatever. And then a bull riding contest. Yeah. And yes, and the idea is that Wes is going to win, but Wes has been fired by the manager of the Cleveland Indians
because he's injured too many people
because he's too rough on it. Yeah. Yes, and but he plans on entering to win and take the money, and he and Sissy are planning on fucking off to Mexico.
Yep.
Which that should be again, Sissy's not too bright. So why are we going to Mexico?
But Wes is also beating her up and making her pick up cigarettes by holding her hair, and
Yeah.
like he's just become he's
a worse bud.
In quotation marks, a worse bud. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's worse in the sense that he hits harder.
He's worse for a very specific reason that we'll talk about later.
He's more sadistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Bud isn't even like really convicted when he's hitting her, but he's still hitting her.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, Wes is like, I'll fucking
Punching
give you a
her.
black eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not to belittle
Neither
one
are
of the
right.
other.
That's why I'm saying in
yeah,
quotes,
neither is
one's
right.
worse.
One is open-handed, one is a bald fist.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just that it's the worst kind of way of redeeming a character.
I
Right,
wanted to save that for later.
All right. Well, I'll let you say it, Chuck.
That's staying in though. So anyway, yeah. So basically, Uncle Bob is going to teach Bud how to ride for the style points, because the point system is going to be how good the bull was, the mechanical bull, like how difficult was that, and plus style points.
Right.
To which Bob is like, you have no problem with the bull. You can stay on the bull, but you need to actually, like, there needs to be an artistic element, which I never really thought of. But to be honest with you, it kind of makes sense, right? Like, whenever you see like a drawing of a bull rider, it's like, that looks like fucking artistic shit.
It's like a dunk contest.
Yeah, I guess
if
so.
you can dunk it, you get a baseline of points, and then whatever your style is, like
If you can windmill that fucking shit, it's like, yeah, you're going to get more points.
Yep,
So
yep.
anyway, so they, and at this point, it's kind of implied that he is starting to pay more attention to this than he really is Pam too, because Pam wants him to go out with friends and all of that, and he's like, "No, I'm going to work the graveyard shift right after I do some practicing on the bull." Basically, it's like, or I'm going to go and watch how the bull operator is going to do the stuff at Gilley's, and I'm going to go to work. I don't have time for you anymore, basically.
Right.
But so just as basically you think we got this as good. I mean, Rocky has caught the fucking chicken. Now it's time to get rid of Mickey. So we get a little bit of Rocky action here. And boy, do they get rid of Bob. They fucking light his ass on fire.
I mean, Bob gives him the good advice, like, don't, if you love something, set it free, but take it back. It's not exactly that.
Well, it's the Texas version of it.
Yeah, the Texas version of that. But yeah, they fucking blow his ass up. And that's like the one thing I remember from this movie. I was like, I know this scene.
Well, and and it's like, in a sort of way also, it's like, I think about that too, is like, why are they working outside in a fucking Texas summer, like fucking lightning storm?
They shouldn't be. And they sent 15 other people to die with them. Like, I thought I was going to do this alone, but they sent 17 other people that died tonight.
It's gonna be like the movie last week. We're just gonna see lines of coffins.
Lines of coffins. But then we have, oh my god, the belt buckle scene. Which when the aunt gives it to him, she's like, "Look, I'm only going to give this to you if you're going to ride, bitch." Like,
yeah.
She's like, "You awoke something in Uncle Bob. Now you got to ride that fucking thing, or I'm not giving you this buckle."
And I'm like, wait a minute, is she talking about her?
Yeah. Ooh, I didn't even see it that way, but you're probably right.
It's like, you really awoke some, and it is hungry now.
It's hungry. Because
I will dress up as Dolly Parton.
Because Bud is such a knucklehead not a knucklehead. I get
He's
why he wouldn't want to.
He's a fucking knucklehead.
He's not a knucklehead for saying I don't feel like riding tonight because I just went to my uncle's funeral. But yes, he's a knucklehead for sure. But she's like, I'm not giving you this fucking buckle unless you go. So he goes. He goes and rides.
Oh,
And what
he's
happens?
He
What
wins.
happens?
He fucking wins. Of course he wins.
Fucking
He wins by a single point. Of course.
Yes, and it's not even worth going through the competitions because
No,
it's so anticlimactic.
It kind of is.
I'm like, what is the crazy thing he's gonna do? Nope, he just gets a higher score.
Yeah, it's like, is he gonna like, is he gonna like look ma no hands?
Yes, exactly. That's what I was expecting. Or is he gonna go over the top on the buckle? Like,
Is he gonna when it's over? Is he gonna fly off of it and tackle Wes? No, but he will get Wes here in a bit.
So here's the thing.
Go for it, Chuck.
Wes is like, okay, let's get the fuck out of here. We're going to Mexico. Pack your shit. She's like, I'm not going with you. He smacks her real hard, and he's like, pack your shit. And he's like, keep the car running. He grabs his gun. He's like, keep the car running. And you're like, oh, he's gonna go in and shoot Travolta, which is kind of like what you think he deserves a little bit. Like he gets something good in his life, and then
karma is going to swing back the other.
Yes. But instead, he goes and robs the office at Gilley's. And he ties everyone up. He takes the money. You have that moment you talked about with Ann earlier where he's like, I got to go. And he runs out to find Sissy. And she gets,
I hope this... God damn, I wish I could have broken up with somebody that way.
Yeah, I gotta go.
It's like, I don't know, Jeff. I gotta go.
Time, man. There's still time.
I know. I'll work on it.
Your whole life ahead of you.
I'll work on it.
You have to have aspiration like Bud.
Yeah, but whenever I bust out of a place, though, right after that, I want Staying Alive to play as I'm strutting away from that. I'm just going to mix all of the John Travolta into it. Yeah.
You want everyone to know that they can tell by the way you move your feet?
Yep.
You're a woman's man? Anyway.
Yeah. Well, if I'm saying I got to go to a chick when I'm breaking up with her, you better believe. Yeah.
So Wes is robbing the thing, and Bud finds Sissy, and he's like, get out of the car. Baby, we gotta go. I love you. I'm sorry for... What does he say, Jason? You know exactly what he said.
Wait, what?
No, he says first of all, he says I'm real hard-headed. That was his first apology. I'm real hard-headed.
I'm sorry
all the way back.
All the way back to when the first time I hit you. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like the first time. I mean, we saw him do it twice, but saying the first time, we know it happened a lot. Right?
That
Probably.
Was a good line. I like can't expect a man like me to be faithful to any woman. I liked not all cowboys are dumb. Some of them got smarts real good.
I love that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. The one where you can't expect me to be faithful to anyone. That was Wes when she walks in on him screwing one of Gilley's waitresses.
Yeah.
Man, those waitresses get around.
Yeah, they do.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Okay, so here's
Crab's outbreak at Gilley's.
So she has a black eye. Sissy has a black eye. And
Gilley's Crab Shack.
Travolta's like, oh man, oh my god. Welcome to Ricky Heaters. That's what the coach would have said. Ricky Heaters. Sorry. But he sees that she has a black eye, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm gonna kill that motherfucker!" And oh man, don't step on Sissy's eyeball, man. And he happens to go in while Wes has got his back turned to him, and he's got the money all on his shirt or some shit, I don't know. And he beats the hell out of him, and all the money goes flying, and he's a fucking hero. Yeah. And I'm thinking, how do you redeem a really bad person? By making them apologize and beating up a worse person. Like, it's so bad. Like, how could you even, like, how, Jeff, how?
Well, allow me to draw from history. Stalin was a pretty bad guy, but he helped us beat up Hitler, who was a worse guy.
We don't call him a hero now.
No, that's fair. I didn't call. I mean, I don't think anybody's calling Bud a hero.
The movie is.
Well, I mean, okay, the movie is, I suppose, and
The movie
I mean,
definitely is. You're supposed to feel good about these.
oh, I think they break up 5 minutes later. I mean, don't worry, they're on the outs.
after the third time he hits her. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm waiting for like the
third time.
graduate,
Right, yes.
the graduate ending
Quotes.
where they're driving out in the car and they both realize what the
right.
fuck they got themselves into. But this movie,
Well,
is
that is no. I mean, there is symbolism there. He puts the sissy back into the window. That's the graduate moment.
well, yeah, but it doesn't indicate that they're doomed.
For this movie, it is.
It is. You put the sissy back in the window. Nobody puts sissy in the window.
well, there is. All right, if you want to get a little bit,
It's a Texas makeup.
yeah. There's a triviality. Yeah,
Triviality.
of that moment, right? Is like this is what a relationship means.
You'll do for now, sort of thing.
Well, yeah, you're the girl in my window, my truck window. Yeah.
Okay, fair, but I don't think this.
No, I don't
movie's
think that's what the
saying
movie's
that.
trying to say, though.
No,
exactly.
but I personally think they ain't making it.
Oh, I agree. They shouldn't. But that's where I think this movie fails at adding that weight to things where, you know what I mean? And I get like breezing through this for fun. And I think it would have been a better movie. Like Jason's suggestion earlier, move the city cowboy to the real cowboy town would have been good, or just erasing all that bullshit about his alcoholism and his bad relation. Just make Over the Top. Or fucking like, you know what I mean? Make it like a fun movie, not make me think.
Lean into the camp a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which is when Scott Glenn shows up in that shirt, I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be campy, right? I mean,
Right.
it gave me like these little moments where I'm thinking, okay, this is I'm supposed to be kind of laughing at this movie. But no, you're really not. It's pretty. It's pretty earnest.
I am thinking about though.
Trying to tell. Yeah.
It was that fishnet shirt of his, like his date night shirt in the pin.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah, Jason. I see that those eyes lit up.
That's
Yeah, I think we got something there.
It's possible. You're right. He was just in the pen.
She looked real pretty like that.
Went into Gilley's looking for a guy instead of a filly.
I mean, he does kind of strike me in that moment as someone who his options are open. Yeah.
He fucks. That's what it comes down to. That shirt says he fucks.
I mean, he does say, "Can't expect a man like me to be faithful to any woman."
Oh,
so could be.
He was. So you're saying he was really riding bulls?
Again, there's a more complex character than our protagonist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, what else we have on this?
I mean, look,
Jason
my
is so
defense.
over it.
Yes, I know. I mean, my defense of this movie is that I do, when I look at it from that higher view, I do try to think about like what I'm seeing, which is that concept of this is a person who has no concept of what a sort of place like this is. He's everything he loves is toxic to him, and he is already a toxic person to begin with. So, it's like I do kind of look at it from that kind of the culture of this thing that can rot people from the inside. And I do think it's a little bit more of a indictment of that time, place, and that bar and what it can do to a group of people that don't have much other to root for or to have.
I said earlier you have to do too much work for that, and you said you don't, but I just don't think it's executed well enough for me to be like, I agree.
That's fine.
I can totally see your point, like 100%. I'd like to see it executed better.
Let's put it this way. I think if the three of us took another crack at this exact script and kind of put it through a little bit of that work to bring that a little bit more obvious, I mean, we're fucking Oscar winners, guys.
Yeah.
We got it, man. We got it.
Let's do it.
I don't know about Oscar.
Oh, we'll get there.
But yes, I think there is a much better story to be told here. Yeah.
We would be in the short list, God damn it. We would be shortlisted if nothing else.
Sure.
I bring Deborah Winger back. She takes over Gilley's. She's the new proprietor of Gilley's.
Oh, so you're like
Call it Sissies.
the Top Gun Maverick thing with the bartender.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway. I don't know. I guess then that's kind of more of a sequel then. Anyway.
She is acting again. So.
I know. She is.
Yeah.
She's around. She's on TV right now, as a matter of fact, on something. Anyway, I don't care. I like this movie. I have all warts and boils with it. I do kind of have fun watching it.
We all have movies like that, I'm sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, yeah.
I mean, it isn't, I mean, and to be honest with you, it really isn't that far off from being a story, maybe not as good, but like a Five Easy Pieces, where you do have that character who is incredibly flawed and you can find out why.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what this movie's missing for me. I think more than anything is that actual character examination.
Yeah.
I mean, comparing this to Five Easy Pieces, I don't mean to really do that, but there is something there that's in Five Easy Pieces that can be here if, you know, run it through one more rewrite.
Sure.
But I'll probably watch it again in a few years. I don't care.
Do it.
You do you.
I'm gonna.
You urban cowboy, beach grove cowboy.
Yeah. Well, there's so many fucking Gilleys here in Beach Grove. There's a bar on every corner. One of them's got to have a bowl. I'm gonna find it.
Now I would want to see that.
I'm gonna light fire to this movie.
It's like put it on one.
I'm gonna light fire to this movie, and I'm gonna need somebody to come put it out.
How about Scott Glenn? We got more Scott Glenn.
Ooh, the Iron
Although
Chef.
Scott Glenn ain't going to be the one putting it out.
To put it out.
Chef.
Because they used the music from Backdraft.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. Actually,
episode of Iron Chef. Yeah,
they do.
Well, next week we're gonna finish off our Lone Stars, and next week we're gonna head to the Windy City of Chicago for 1991's Backdraft.
Yeah.
Hell of a cast.
Yeah.
You got Kurt Russell, you got Scott Glenn, you got Robert De Niro, you got Billy Baldwin,
Yeah.
you got Rebecca De Mornay. It's a good cast. It's a good cast.
Rebecca De Horney,
Billy
as she was
Baldwin
called in the 90s.
is well cast in this movie. He's not always used right, but he's correct.
He's good in this.
Movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, 1991's Backdraft. That is next week, February 19th. And yeah, go to filmseizure.com. That's where you can find all of the places that we post our episodes, where we post on the socials. Although, you know what? Come check us out at the old Blue Sky. We're chilling at Blue Sky. It's good times, and you know, it's we need a little bit more followership over there. Mm-hmm. So do that. Yes, this upcoming Monday, also at filmseizure.com, I have a new episode of Monster Mondays, and a movie that I have to thank Jason for turning me on to, The Vast of Night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like that movie a ton.
Yeah, I knew that you would. There's sometimes you see something and you're just like,
the movie
is going to love this movie.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
It's such a good looking movie. Anyway, So that is, that's this upcoming Monday, filmseizure.com. My website, on Friday, bmovieenema.com. You know, it's Valentine's Day. So what should I watch for Valentine's Day? What should I review for Valentine's Day?
Toxic Avenger.
I've already done that.
No, well, I don't know that.
I'm disappointed in you guys. My Bloody Valentine.
My Bloody Valentine. I was trying to come up with the name of it. But yeah. Like honestly, I couldn't remember. I was like Valentine's Day? No, it's not called that. the one with the minor. What was it? Yeah.
Yeah, Harry.
My Bloody Valentine. Yeah.
Yes, My Bloody Valentine. So yeah. Great movie, poorly directed in some of the dialogue scenes, but a good movie in general.
I like the remake.
I've heard the remake's good. Maybe a Valentine's Day in the future when that comes back up on a Friday. Yeah. So anyway, that's bmovieanima.com. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here, go ride that bull, and maybe punch a bag and listen to Charlie Daniels. In the meantime, yeah, I'm going to have to. I mean, there's going to be a backdraft on my balls from the bull, but yeah, somebody will put it out. Anyway, until then, I'm Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm not that bull.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.